think I am. I hope you can hear me. Hey guys. All right, let's kick it off. I want to share with you a little story that I have shared often when people ask me why I do what I do, but I don't think I really shared it publicly or definitely not on LinkedIn. So I want to share with you a story why I do what I do, like where it all started. And I do believe that everyone can take something from that little short story. Yeah, let me just talk. I don't have a step-by-step outline how I go about it, but let me just share with you what's coming up for me. And let me just change this. This is too hot. 23 degrees and still too hot. Can you believe it? Anyway, I think it's the coffee as well. Anyway, so basically this was in 2000, I believe it was in 2012 or 2013. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that rather 2013. I was sitting somewhere, I won't tell you the country, but I was sitting in a restaurant, downstairs in a restaurant, and I was a part of like a personal development, leadership, coaching workshop. I can't remember exactly the name, exactly what was it about, but because it's been like a good, 11 years, 12, 11 years. But I was sitting in this restaurant and there was roughly about 20 people, and a friend of mine who is a coach, he ran this workshop. And I, as the workshop was a whole day, entire day workshop in this downstairs part of a restaurant, my friend, he rent, the space for the workshop. It was really lovely. The workshop finished after all day, and I was waiting for my friend because we were about to go for dinner, I guess, or something. And so I was sitting there and I was waiting for him as he was saying goodbye to everyone who attended his workshop. And back then I didn't really think about, going into coaching or psychology. I was finishing my master's in business and economics, and I was really passionate about marketing, specifically digital marketing. But as I'm sitting there in that restaurant, what happens is he starts having a conversation with this lady, and it completely changed everything for me in terms of the course of my career and of my life, literally. So I'm sitting there, and my friend is talking with this woman who she's roughly in her mid-50s, I guess, and also her daughter is there, who is in her late teens, maybe around 20-year-old. And they are discussing the fact that, let me go back, but I didn't really prepare this life, as you can see, but who bloody cares, right? Basically, the lady, the mom and daughter, right? Me, my friend, I'm just sitting there at the corner of the table, but my friend is talking with this lady, and her daughter, well, specifically with the lady, with the mom. And mom is a very outspoken person, like very, very outspoken person. We've got this expression in Czech, bylo ho nebo bylo jí plno, which means like exact translation is they were full, like they were full. They came to the room and they were full. I don't know how to say that in terms of energy and how they speak, and very extroverted, right? And I'm sure there's an English expression for it as well. I can't just remember that right now. Anyway, long story short, the woman was very, very outspoken. She was, the kind of person that I could see her entire workshop. She was very much asking questions, engaging, speaking, versus her daughter was very quiet. The entire day she was quiet. And at the end of the day, as I'm sitting there and listening, kind of like probably doing something on my phone, I don't know, but just listening with one of my ears, the conversation, because I couldn't, otherwise there was a room, in a restaurant, I heard that conversation. The mom is saying to my friend, the coach, that her daughter struggles having conversation with people face to face. In fact, she cannot hold a conversation with a person face to face. And I will not go into details, but what because I don't remember the details, but I will tell you what I remember in a nutshell. The problem was, or the challenge was for the girl who was, mind you, this is like late teens, right? Like 20 years old, 19, 18, something like that. So she couldn't have at school conversation with anyone. Like she couldn't hold conversation, or if she did, it was extremely difficult and caused extreme anxiety for her. She couldn't look at people's eyes, just very much. She struggled. She struggled having day-to-day conversations. But the first thing she did when she came from school, she ran to her room, she opened her computer, and she logged on Skype. And all day long after work, after school, she would be just chatting with random people that she has never met in person on Skype. And I guess she was chatting with people that she knows as well. But this is what I remember. Like this is what has been in my mind for 11, 12 years. That maybe she said something different or something slightly different, but this is exactly what I remember. That she couldn't hold conversation with people in person, and she was literally addicted to chats, online chats. In this case, it was an ICQ, it was an MSN or whatever. We didn't have it in my country, so I don't remember exactly the name. But we had ICQ in the Czech Republic. I remember it very well. But this girl, she was literally addicted on conversations via Skype. So online, all good. In person, absolutely non-existent. Now, when I was sitting there and I was listening to that conversation, I was shocked. I've never heard anything like this. And, like I was coming from marketing background, like you didn't really talk about this stuff, right? You talk a lot about psychology, but not to this point. And I was sitting there and there were literally two things coming up in my mind. Number one was I really wanted to help her. Like I had this inner sort of like, just like, I wish I could help her. I wish I could, show her that having conversation with other humans doesn't have to be painful. It's okay to express yourself. And it's possible to, hold conversation with other human without being hurt or judged and so on. Or judged, well, that's a whole different story. But you get the point. So there was number one thing, like I really, really wanted to help her. And number two, I just felt like there must be more people who are struggling with this. Because I don't have my phone, it's on charger, but let's pretend this is my phone, right? Because I realized in that moment that more connected we are through technologies, more disconnected we are on a human level. And it really dawned on to me in that moment that there is going to be more and more young people who will be struggling because, like, look at your children now, right? Look at your niece, nephew, just look at kids, right? They are growing up with technologies, and I'm not going to talk about it here in the video. But in that moment, in that restaurant, I realized that I've got to do something about it. I wanted to help her, and I knew that there is going to be more people who are struggling like her, and I felt the inner need that I need to do something about it. Now, just to let you know, back then I didn't know anything about autism, and I still don't know anything about autism, if I'm honest. But maybe like just looking back right now and learning something about, neurodiversity, maybe she had autism or she has autism, I don't know. And it's not important right now why I'm sharing that, because I'm not in touch with her. I don't know who she is. I don't remember the name. But I'm just sharing the story why I do what I do. It was the moment when I realized I really need to freaking do something about it. Now, mind you, this was 2012, 13. And I finished my university degree and I got jobs in tech companies, in marketing and in sales as well. And it took me, until 2017 when I realized, like, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I really need to, I don't care about KPIs and OKRs and open rates. And I don't want to do any pushy marketing or anything like that. And I realized in that moment that what I really want to do is go back to that restaurant and go back, so to speak, go back to the restaurant and go back to help people like the girl who was sitting there. I realized that I want to go back, and I want to help people with their communication skills and confidence. So in 2017, I qualified as a coach, and then everything happened from that point. And this day, what we do in the quantum leadership, we help companies boost their employee retention and engagement by turning their first-time managers and emerging leaders into confident leaders and speakers. And whether you are running a team of people or leading a team of people, and you see that there is a disengagement in your team, or they are not hitting the numbers, or whether you are simply an employee in a company and you don't feel super motivated and you are not hitting the numbers, I invite you to think about what I just shared in terms of, I need to do something about it. Meaning, and it doesn't make sense what I just said to you, right? Let me just go back one step. I invite you to think about what's the fire. What's the fire within you? And I'm not talking just from my experience. Like, I've been doing this work for over 7 years, and I've seen, some people. I've seen some stories. I've heard some stories. I've seen some extreme light bulbs moments for my clients when things click and they can move forward and fly, so to speak. And I've realized that whether you are working for a company and you don't feel super motivated, or whether you are leading a team of people and you see that there is not engagement or something is missing, it just feels like, no, right? Or they simply don't hit the numbers that you expect. Very often what it comes down to is the engine, it's the fire within us people, which is, what I shared, like, what is it that you feel like you need to do something about it, right? What is the schnitzel? I need to do something about it. And it's the same for your employees in your team or for your team. If you're struggling with or if they're struggling with their performance, ask yourself, what's their fire? What's their engine? And very often they don't even know, but your task is to find out, right, as a leader. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. I think I've shared everything that I wanted to share. I'm just looking at my note here. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what's coming up for you, as you heard me talking about this. Yeah, I'm really curious. And I think this video was really long, so I'll keep it shorter next time. Anyway, you have a good day. Bye-bye.